Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Marriage, another evacuation edition
Yes.
of Marriage Matters.
Yes.
My name is Glenn Coleman, and I am joined, as always, by my beautiful wife, Ms.
Tanya Coleman.
And this is Marriage Matters. This is a
Yes.
show where we talk about all things marriage, all things relationship, and things alike.
Yes, I want to talk about my evacuation hair.
Well, hey, you know what I'm saying? We evacuated, but it's all good,
Okay.
you know.
All right.
You know.
I'm in there. All
You
right.
look good to me.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
You look good. You know, when you wake up in the morning, it's like, yep, you know.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yes, so here we are. Evacuation number two.
Evacuation number 2. So how you feeling about it?
How am I feeling about it?
Yeah. Well, I know how you feeling about it. Let me ask it another way. How are you doing in this whole evacuation number 2, hurricane number 2 in 6 weeks?
I'm going to say what I've been saying. I am leaning in, and I am leaning into the Father, and that is helping me through it all.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's real.
Yeah, same here. You know, excuse, we got a little helicopter action there, but you know, it's funny. You don't. You know, there's a scripture. I want to say it's in James. Bible says, "Count it all joy when you fall into all different types of temptations, because these trials or these temptations, they give opportunity for you to work your faith.
Absolutely.
And your faith works endurance, and endurance patience. So it's like, where we don't want none of this stuff to be going on, we don't want none of this stuff to be happening. At the same time, it's like, you know, you have an opportunity to see where you're lacking, and where you've grown. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about growth. I want to talk about growth.
This is definitely a season for growth. I think everything that we've been experiencing is definitely a season for growth. It is an opportunity for you to check your own temperature, you know, and see where you are, locate yourself, and really be real with yourself. And although it has been exhausting, it has been tiring, it has been frustrating in moments, it has been all sorts of emotions. At the same time, I have that joy that you're talking about, because I know that, one, this too shall pass. 2, that we're going to come out of this on the other side of it better than we did going into it. You know, and that is because we're choosing to do some work on ourselves. And we always talk about self-assessing on this show. And that's what I've been using this time for.
And it's kind of like, I see this as, and it's when we bring it to relationships. There was one of my favorite shows is Seinfeld. Big Seinfeld fan. But there was this episode where Jerry meets this new girl, and they've only been dating for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. So he decides they go spend the weekend in Vermont or something. I can't remember what it was. And his friend George was like, "Are you crazy? You know, you just started dating. You know, weekend getaways can be, you know, a detriment even to a relationship that's years old. You're doing it for 2 weeks." And so Jerry says, "Well, I figure it's like taking my relationship and putting it in a pressure cooker, you know, and it's gonna, you know, accelerate the growth in this." He didn't say all that. I'm just kind of paraphrasing.
Right.
But I said to say all this. This is kind of like what this time is right now. It's like, you know, it's either gonna cause you, and we say this a lot. We said this before. When you go through things in your relationship, it's either gonna do one of two things. It's gonna strengthen your relationship, or it's gonna show you the areas. Well, 3 things. It's gonna strengthen your relationship. It's going to show you the areas where you're lacking, or it's going to do damage.
Absolutely.
Depending on where you're at in your relationship.
Absolutely.
So this is why these moments right here, guys, when you're evacuated and you're living out of a suitcase, when you're living in a hotel for an extended period of time, and there's nowhere to go because COVID is still happening. So you can't go to a theme park. Well, I guess you could. They're starting to open back up, but you got what I'm saying. You're stuck in a room together. So that's the pressure cooker. So you're going to find out where you're really in your relationship. And so that's why it's so important that you continue to grow. If there's nothing else that we want to encourage you guys is that you got to grow. And here's the thing. Well, I'll just show you some growth for me. So I remember, we've been married for 19 years.
Good job. I was waiting.
When we evacuated, it's a pandemic. My mind's all over the place. So then you can use it for excuse. But we've been married for 19 years. Why was I saying that? Oh, because about 25 years ago, I don't know. I always remember. I can't remember. We've been together about 25 years total. Somewhere in there. 25 years. So 25 years ago, my attitude toward marriage was totally different. So right before we got married, maybe 2 years or so before we got married, my parents had been married for 22 years and was divorced. And so my whole attitude on marriage was like, why? For what?
Yeah.
And then, I met Tanya, and all of that changed because I knew I loved her. I knew I wanted to marry her. So my outlook kind of changed to marriage. I'm getting married, but I already know that marriage is hard. Marriage is tough. And then after I got married and I really started to do the work or read the books, go to the seminars, go to the trainings, go listen to the word, read the word, study the word, pray, ask God about about my marriage. Then my philosophy changed from marriage is hard to marriage is work. And then I kept that for a long time. I should tell people all the time. People say marriage is hard all the time, but marriage is not hard. Marriage is work. But here recently, there's been another reiteration. Is that the right word? Iteration? Whatever the word is. You guys know what I'm talking about. To that end, is this marriage, the work is not in the marriage. The work is in the individual.
Absolutely.
Because I come to the realization that the marriage in and of itself is perfect. The flaw is us.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important.
Flawed?
You are. I'm sorry.
Are you
not on the
kidding
outside. You're perfect on the outside.
Thank you for trying to fix it. I'm joking. Yeah, I know.
But it's in the soul. It's in the soulless realm. It's our mind. It's our will. It's our emotions.
Absolutely.
That's where we got to do the work, and those are the things that's going to cause issues in marriage, and that's where growth has to take place. If you are not growing individually, then you are not growing in your marriage.
Absolutely.
If you're not growing individually, you're not growing in any of your relationships. You're not growing as a friend, as a brother, as a son, as a parent, father, mother, daughter, whatever it is. If you're not growing individually, there can be no growth in your relationships. Because here it is, guys, the only thing that can change in a relationship, listen to me carefully, the only thing that you can control and change in a relationship is you.
Absolutely.
I can change me. I cannot change Tanya. No matter how much I pray, fast, all those things, I have to change.
Absolutely. I think the work on me, sometimes it can be a bit more daunting than me trying to fix you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't, when I'm trying to fix you, I place the expectation on you.
Yeah.
I look at your errors, instead of looking inwardly and looking at my own faults and looking at the things that I need to change and addressing those issues. Sometimes it can be painful looking at those things.
Yeah, and I like that you brought that out because that's what most people, they think that the problem in their relationship is the other person.
Right.
If Tanya would just, if she would just do this, if I could just get her to do this, where really that's not the issue, is always me.
Right.
The issue
and in
is
most relationships is that way, you know, with other people, with your children even, it's like sometimes some of what's happening with them, you can handle it better if you adjust yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's the easy, and that's the other part about that. Just blaming somebody else is so easy.
Right. Right.
Well, it's not my fault. The reason why my marriage is falling apart is not because of me. If my wife would just, or if my husband would just. So that's so easy. But when you do step up and take responsibility,
right, that's hard. That's the work.
And here's the deal. It was my brother John Stelly. Shout out to John and Sylvia Stelly.
Yes, to the Stellys.
He used to always say, responsibility is having the ability to respond. That's being responsible. So if I cannot respond to not react, but respond to a situation, then I can't be responsible. I don't have the ability to respond. But when I take on the ownership of the growth, I'm saying I'm going to grow. I'm going to change. I remember it was a friend of mine. He and his wife, they were going through some hard times, and he and I was talking, and he told me, he said, there's some things that I'm going to change for me, not for my wife, not for my kids. I'm changing for me. And I was like, wow. Yeah. Because a few years earlier, I probably would have said, well, man, that's pretty selfish. You change for your.
Right.
But it's kind of like, if I change for me, then I am changing for you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
When I make me better, then I make us better.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, but that's what you have to understand is you have to do this for you. It's for me. I'm changing this because when I change, then I get better.
Right.
So that's what I want to just really talk to you guys about is make sure that you're growing individually. And if you do that, one of the things that I've realized, and it really comes into play with my kids, is that when I change, the way I grew up, it was basically the army. It was military. You move when I say, how I say, and which I still want my kids to respect me. But my point is, when I changed the way I related to them, they changed the way they responded to
Absolutely. And then you have to question, okay, are we looking for respect or are we looking for fear? Because when I was growing up, a lot of the way that I responded to my parental relationship was out of fear. A lot of things that I didn't do, or a lot of things that I would never say, the things that I hold in, was based out of fear, rather that be from the punishment that I might receive, the reaction that I might receive. And so sometimes we don't realize that because of those things, and I, call them childhood wounds, that we carry them into our adult life, and then they show up in our marital life. They show up in the way that we raise our kids. So a part of that growth and that self-assessing is going back and realizing some of those things that need to be undone. So
it's all about growth. And so another thing, I walked in on a conversation that you and Bethany were having. Remember that I walked in and they were talking, and I kind of butted my way into the conversation because I can do that, right? But I was talking with Bethany and I was telling her, I said, baby, I said, if you want to do something in life, if you are passionate about something in life, do it. Don't wait. Don't second guess yourself. Just go out and do it. Don't, because, you're young, you got the world is your oyster. I didn't say that, but that kind of, and I told her, if you do it and you really don't like it, you can always say, that's not for me.
Right.
But I was just encouraging her, do it. Step out and just do it. Do the thing that you're called to do. Do the thing that you're passionate about doing. I was just telling her, and she was receiving it. But then I was talking to one of my life coaches or one of my mentors, and I told him, I said, in that moment, it dawned on me that if I don't function in that way, if I don't do that, then I don't give Bethany permission to do that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow. I was like, here I am telling her, basically saying it's too late for me, but you still are young, blah, blah, blah. But what I realized is, again, I have to work on that for me.
Right.
And when there's one of my favorite poems by Marianne Williamson.
Yes.
It's, what is your greatest fear? And there's a line in that poem that says, when we basically, and I'm paraphrasing it, but she says basically, whenever you shine your light, you unconsciously give others the permission to do the same.
Yes.
So whenever you grow, you unconsciously give others permission. And a lot of times the reason why you're going through the same cycle is because you're not growing. When you begin to grow, when you grow, it brings everybody up to another level in your circle, whether that's your family, your wife, your spouse, whatever.
Because what happens is you change. You're that light that she speaks of, it shines brighter. And so you begin to show up in the world differently, and you see things differently. You have those conversations with your children, although you've always said, do what's in your heart to do what you dream of doing, don't limit yourself. You've always said that, but there is another level of conviction behind it. And so when you live out your dreams and your vision, and you allow your light to burst forth and shine, then it's just like, hey, my dad is doing that, my mom is doing that, my neighbor's doing that, my sister, my brother's doing that. And so if they do that, they broke through that mental glass ceiling, then maybe I can do the same thing. And it gives them permission to try. To stick their toe in the water and say, okay, it's cold, but I'm going to walk in anyway. And
the other thing is, I'll say this in closing, and we'll kind of wrap this up, but you've got to play 100%. And that's one thing I'm learning in life, is that you have to play in life 100%. You can't be overly cautious. You can't be. You got to play. You got to leave it all out on the court. I was watching the well, I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to get into the NBA finals right now. That's another podcast. but my point is, you got to play 100% for each other. So I'm gonna grow, and like I said, it's for me. But I know if I don't grow, one of the things I told Tanya the other day, I said, one of the things that's so frustrating for me is when my daughters or her want something and I don't have the money to give it to them. That is the most frustrating thing ever. I'm working on changing that right now as we speak. But my point is like, I understand that being upset that I can't do it is one thing, but it's like, okay, what are you going to do about it? I got to play 100% so that I can not only be 100% for me, but I can be 100% for you. Because until I'm playing 100%, then there's some husband that's being left off the table that you not getting access to. There's some father in me that's being left off the table that Bethany and Bailey are not getting because I'm not playing 100%. So I want everybody around me. Not only I don't only want the 100% for me, but I want the 100% for you guys. That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. That's really good. And that's something, it came out when we did. I know we're gonna kind of segue
go ahead
into Growth Challenge, but when we did the Growth Challenge too, for me, that came out of that was that we have fought really hard for others. And we're at a point and a place in our life where we have to fight harder for us than we have for other people by nature of personality, life experiences, all of those different things. We have not had the faith, the courage to fight hard for us. And so I think that I know now is the time for that, because it gets to a point, guys, to where when you don't full out play, as Glenn said, or full out show up in your life the way that you ought to be showing up in your life, the way that you were destined to be showing up in your life, it becomes suffocating. It comes to a point where you are so frustrated, you're so irritated, or you're sad, or you just kind of lose all the zeal, and it's like, what's going on? Well, because you have so much on the inside of you that you have yet tapped into, and if you don't start pouring that stuff out and pulling it out, then you will just feel like, okay.
And that kind of sparks something else in me, that the reason why so many people's relationships a lot of times are suffering is because they are not living out of that full potential. So they're looking for that fulfillment from their spouse, and your spouse is not designed to give you that type of fulfillment.
Right.
And that's why your marriage is so suffocating, is because that's all you have.
You're sucking the air out of it.
Yeah, you're sucking the air out of it. So that we want to share this with you guys in closing, that there's a program that Tanya and I we're in the middle of going through. We're on the last leg of it. It's three parts. You don't have to do all 3 parts, but we chose to do 3 parts because we're playing at 100%, right? But it's called Growth Challenge, and it's by the Kitchen Table Counseling and Life Coaching. Shout out to Mark and Melissa Dunwall and Michelle LeBlanc. Shout out to the TKT team.
Yes.
But it's been a great. I don't think I've ever grown so much in my life. Kind of losing a little light here. We're outside here, guys, but just kind of bear with us. We're almost done. But I don't think I've ever grown as much as I have these past 2 years. Well, really a year, is when I've been involved at the kitchen table. But listen, if you want to grow individually, if you want to grow in your relationships, in your marriage, as a father, as whatever your relationship, you want to grow in your career, if you want to grow in your business, if you want to just get clarity on where you're supposed to be in life, I 100%, and we don't do this often, but I 100% recommend this program. It's called Growth Challenge. And if you want more information about Growth Challenge, you can go to the kitchentablecounseling.com, and then if you click on the additional programs and services and click on Growth Challenge, and it'll give you all the information you need. It's like I said, it's 3 parts. They're over. It's a series of weekends. And I'm telling you, these are life-changing experiences. And it's worth everything, the time, the money, all that you have to put in to get to this next level in your life. It's worth it. So if you want to grow, if you want to play at 100%, if you want to discover who you truly are, the thing that makes you tick, if you haven't discovered that yet, or if you even want to refine that, if you want to get more effective at it and more efficient in your calling, in your vision, in your destiny, in your purpose, however you want to say it, whatever you are, Growth Challenge can help you with that. Absolutely. And it's getting the Marriage Matter endorsement.
Yes.
And that's why we're saying this, guys. We don't just do this. We don't come on here and just talk about this. We do this. We go to the seminars. We get the counseling because we want to be the best that we can be in our marriage, right?
Yes,
or in our relationship, or for each other. So, so by all means, check that out. The kitchentablecounseling.com. Website's there on the screen, and go to additional services and then click on Growth Challenge.
Growth Challenge. So, and there's, as far as I know, there's one more, what they call Growth Challenge 1 or GC1 coming up November 6th through the 8th, that weekend. So if you want to jump in there before the end of 2020, before moving into 2021, you're looking to sort some things out before the new year, then here's your opportunity,
that would be perfect,
guys. Yeah.
To end the year with this, and
absolutely.
So that way you can hit 2021 running.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So we encourage y'all to grow, challenge yourself, grow together, together, grow individually and grow together. You grow individually, you will grow together.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So you got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, look, this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman, evacuated.
Number 2.
But just reminding you that your
marriage matters.
So, hey, we'll see you next week.
Bye.